Welcome children. Today we are going to learn a new lesson from our English reader, and the name of the lesson is Pinocchio. Now when you hear this name, some of you will be able to recognize, right? Pinocchio is one of the famous stories you get to hear, right children? Now let us hear a little about Pinocchio. It's a story of a puppet that is carved by a carpenter named Geppetto, who treats a puppet like his own son. But Pinocchio is determined to become a real boy, and in the process he learns many great lessons. Every time he is stuck in a difficult situation, he lies and lies. But mysteriously he finds his nose growing larger with each lie he speaks. He also decides never to give in to his temptation again, but his resolution lasts only till the next available opportunity. But finally, he learns his lesson and proves himself to be worthy of being a real boy. So, Pinocchio is actually a wooden puppet who is carved by a carpenter, but this wooden puppet had a great desire to be a real boy. But then he had certain shortcomings. He had certain aspects that was not so good. That is, he used to lie. Whenever he gets an opportunity, he keeps lying and lying. And so what happens is that the related consequences he had to face was a little tremendous. But he learned his lessons. Now, let's turn to page 157. We can read together. Once upon a time, an old carpenter bought a very queer piece of wood, and he used his plane on it. He heard a little laughing voice say, "Stop, you're tickling me." The old man was puzzled by the voice. He said, "This is a strange piece of wood. What shall I do with it? I think I'll make it into a puppet." He set to work, and as the puppet boy took shape, the old man said, "He must have a name. I will call him Pinocchio." So, as you know, it is a story about a carpenter, his family, and the puppet boy. So, the carpenter bought a very strange piece of wood, and when he started working with it, he heard a little laughing voice say, "Stop, you're tickling me." So it was a strange piece of wood, a queer piece of wood, and the old man was really puzzled. Puzzled means he was surprised and also curious to know what is this. This is a strange piece of wood. Now he is thinking what he could do with it. And then immediately he had an idea that he would make it into a puppet. Now he set to work, he took his tools and he carved a puppet. A puppet, as you know, is actually a figure or like a doll, a wooden doll over here. And usually puppets, you find puppets that people make using cloth. The puppets have a cloth body and their head is also kind of hollow, but here it is a wooden puppet. Okay. But then there is something strange about this wooden puppet. It was able to speak. Now let us see. So this man was very astonished. He felt that he needs to name this puppet, and he named the puppet Pinocchio. As soon as he finished making the eyes, the carpenter was amazed to see them move. So when he made the eyes, he was so amazed. That means pleasantly happy. He saw it moving the eyes. Right? Before the mouth was made, it began to laugh. "Stop laughing," the old man said. Now before he could carve the mouth, the wooden puppet, it started to laugh. And this old man, the old carpenter, was getting a little irritated, and he is telling it to stop laughing. It did stop, but as soon as his back was turned, it put out its tongue and its nose grew long. No sooner were its hands ready that it snatched off the carpenter's wig and put it on its own head. And then Pinocchio's nose grew longer. When his legs and feet were made, they were too stiff to use. So the carpenter showed Pinocchio how to use them. So what happens is that whenever Pinocchio does anything out of the way, or whenever he is up to some mischief, what happens is that the strangest thing happens, children. And you know what it is. His nose grows longer and longer. So whenever he lies, the consequence would be that his nose will become longer. Whenever he is up to some mischief, or he does something out of the way, his nose grows longer and longer. So that was something he had to face. That was a consequence of his wrongdoings. And he had to face this many times, but later he decided that he would correct himself, right, with a great effort, and then things became normal. So let us see here. That is, before the mouth was made, as you know, it began to laugh and it irritated the carpenter, but then he told it to stop laughing. And it did stop. But as soon as the carpenter turned away to do something else, he put out its tongue, like in a mocking manner. And his nose grew longer. So whenever he does something wrong, his nose keeps growing and growing. No sooner were his hands ready that it snatched off the carpenter's wig. So the carpenter had a wig on his head, and when he made the hand, when he carved the hand, this wooden puppet, Pinocchio, he just snatched the wig of the carpenter and he put it on its own head. And immediately the nose grew longer because he was doing something out of the way or naughty. And whenever he does anything out of the way, whenever he does anything mischievous, his nose keeps growing and growing. When his legs and feet were made, they were too stiff to use. So the carpenter showed Pinocchio how to use them. So when his legs and feet were made and carved, it was very stiff. He was not able to move it. And the carpenter showed him how to use them. Now the carpenter decided to send Pinocchio to school. So the carpenter was so much attached to Pinocchio, and he loved this wooden puppet called Pinocchio. For him, it was almost like his own son. So he decided to send Pinocchio to school. But there, Pinocchio did nothing but look for fun. He often ran away from school. So Pinocchio is predominantly a very naughty wooden puppet boy. So obviously he would not stay calm and do his studies. What he did was he wanted to have fun. And so he also ran away from school because it was too strict. When he went to school, he understood that your children are supposed to study, are supposed to do their homeworks, they are supposed to do their calculations. And he was not at all interested in all that. He just wanted to have fun. And when he felt that school was too much to handle, what he did was he ran away from that. "Why don't you go to school?" asked the carpenter. Pinocchio told him a lie, and his nose started growing longer and longer. So when the carpenter, Geppetto, asked Pinocchio, "Why don't you go to school?" that time Pinocchio told him that, some lie, some random lie. And immediately his nose grew more longer. So whenever he lied, whenever he was up to some mischief, his nose kept on growing. Each time he was rude to someone or told a lie, his nose grew longer. Finally, Pinocchio said, "I'm glad to be a real boy. I'll never lie again." So this continued. As you know, the story, it's a bigger story. It's a small part of it that we are learning. So you'll be knowing, children, if you're more interested to learn it, you can get the story of Pinocchio. So there was a series of incidents. He kept on doing his mischief. He kept on getting into trouble. He kept on lying, and his nose also grew longer and longer with it. But the time he decided that enough is enough, I need to do something about this. I need to stop lying. I need to behave myself. I need to stop being rude. I have to be good. Because he wanted to be a real boy. He had this desire to be a real boy. And later on, at the end, he understood that in order to be a real boy, he had to behave the part. He had to be good by nature too. And that time, Like when he started doing things in the right manner, his nose, the length of his nose became reduced and he became a normal boy. Alright, it's a fantasy kind of a story, children, but then it's like a fairy tale. But it is very nice. It gives you a message that you are not, see, lying does not, you don't gain anything when you lie. You don't, maybe see, momentarily joy you might gain when you lie, or satisfaction. You get momentary satisfaction, but then lying is not a good thing. And also it's good to have a little fun, but not too much, so that you sort of miss out on all the major things in life. So behavior and conduct is also important. So this story has a moral. In order to be good, you need to control your manners and behavior, and you also need to stop lying. We all have a tendency to lie as human beings. It's a part of our life. But then we have to control that tendency, and it's always very apt and good to be honest with ourselves and with the people around us, right? Now let us see the new words. Yeah, the word cure means strange, something suspicious or strange. So what was suspicious here in our story? Yes, the piece of wood was something strange that the carpenter came across. Okay, now plane is a flat surface. As you know, a carpenter has many tools, and in order to use his tool, he needs a flat surface like a table where he can do his work. Then puzzle means unable to understand, confusion. So the carpenter was puzzled when he came across this very strange piece of wood. Puppet, a small figure or a doll with a cloth body and a hollow head. Now in our story, who is a puppet? Yes, Pinocchio is a puppet boy, and he had a cloth body. No, Pinocchio had a wooden body, but normally a puppet has a cloth body and a hollow head. It is like a doll. So here Pinocchio was made out of wood. He was a wooden puppet. Amazed means greatly surprised or astonished. Amazed? Who was amazed over here? Yes. Let's say the carpenter was amazed after he made the wooden puppets, right? Then stiff, rigid and hard. The meaning of the word stiff means hard or rigid, and over here, as you know, we came across the line that the carpenter, when he was carving the legs and the feet, it was so stiff. That means it was very hard and rigid, and Pinocchio was not able to use it. But then the carpenter showed him how to use his legs and feet. Okay, children, I hope you understood. It's a fun chapter, but also there is a moral that you are not supposed to lie. Lying won't get you anywhere. Just like Pinocchio, whenever he finds himself in any situation, he keeps lying. He keeps doing mischievous things, right? What happened was that his nose grew longer and longer. But then the moment he decided that enough is enough, I have to start behaving in order for him to become a normal boy. So as kids, even you can take this lesson that never to lie, and try maximum to be good to others and also to be honest with others and yourself. Alright, I hope you understood this, children. I want you to read the lesson. Okay, we'll meet in the next class. Thank you, children.